Hello, friends. Welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. People like to say that their workplace would fall apart without them. Usually not the case. But OP, you did it upright. That must have felt so satisfying. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Petty revenge best served late. A little backstory. I've worked in the security field for 5 years at the time, 6 years now, including being an MP. I'd gotten out of the military a little over a year ago and had been working as security for this chemical plant. I'd seen a lot of people come and go after working there a few weeks. Kind of normal for security, but the hiring process and pay here was better than other places, so I didn't expect so many people to quit. Eventually, I was trained for all the sites in the plant and could work anywhere in the plant. After a few more weeks, I started training more officers for either the main gate or east gate. Main gate was the trickiest for a lot of guards because we had to memorize numbers, what gates to open in the plant and when to open them, alarm codes, and how to disable employee badges. Also note, I worked reception every Monday and Tuesday, the busiest days of the week, and no other guard was trained to work reception. That job included making new employee and contractor badges, transferring calls, knowing where to transfer to, scheduling conferences, etc. Anyway, the chemical plant we were working for switched owners, and that opened up 2 new shift leader jobs. One of them went to this amazing guard who didn't have a ton of security experience, but had a bachelor's degree and 2 years at the plant. The other one was promised to me by my supervisor. I was ecstatic. This meant about a $10 pay raise. I was so happy. Told my immediate family and a few friends. Well, the day of the promotion comes and my supervisor comes to see me at the gate I was working at. He told me that unfortunately they chose someone else for the promotion, a guard that had been working there for 2 weeks at that point, younger than me, and it was his first security job. I was pissed. I asked him why he changed his mind and he said, "No real reason. You would have been a good fit too." Now, this guard happened to be the same race and religion as my supervisor, which, to this day, I believe was the reason I didn't get the job he'd promised me. I believe it even more so because my supervisor wouldn't give me a reason for why he chose the other guy. That same day, my supervisor told me to cover reception on Thursday, the day after all this happened, and with a smile on my face, I gladly said, yes, of course. We had a lot of people meeting with the higher-ups in the plant, and they needed someone who knew the job. Well, obviously, since this is a petty revenge, you know what happens next. I didn't show up for that very important shift and instead chose to stay at home, sipping my morning coffee and watching Netflix. I get a call at around 7:10 a.m. from one of the guards I like because he didn't F me over because my supervisor was too pissed at me to know that I probably wasn't going to show up at all. Well, he guessed right. An untrained employee ended up having to deal with a rush of people, and guess who that employee was? Yep, the guy they promoted over me. I heard he effed up pretty bad, too. After all this mess, I decided to file a complaint with the Human Rights Committee. They're free, and even a threat of legit complaint with them is a big deal. It's been a year since this all happened, and a current employee told me all the security employees were fired when they changed over companies again. So all in all, I think everything worked out pretty well. I know they were probably back to normal in a week or two, but not showing up when they really needed me gave me the satisfaction only petty revenge can bring. And our second story. Karen in the wild at my work. I work at a fast food chain that rhymes with Bendy's, so we have the Karens on a regular. I have many stories, but this one takes the cake. We were slammed as we're in the busy shopping district of town and a woman pulls up. I happen to be running the window. She orders 8 of the 10-piece nuggets, 80 total nuggets. I told her there'd be a wait time of 4.5 minutes before she even pulled up to the window. She loudly sighed and said, "Whatever," and finishes her order with a large lemonade. All good. She pulls up to the window and had the entire Karen look, the haircut, the minivan, and there was even a Live, Laugh, Love sticker on the back door, and she pays, and I tell her to pull up and we'll bring her food out. This is when crap hits the fan. Here's how it all went down. K equals Karen, me equals self-explanatory, GM equals my general manager, who happened to be the manager on duty at the time. K, why do I have to pull up? You should have had it already. Me, You ordered 80 total nuggets, ma'am. We usually keep 30 ready at a time. K. But why only 30? Me. To reduce product waste if we slow down in terms of sales. K. I don't give a damn. I just finished Christmas shopping and need to get home to wrap the gifts. At this point, I hit the button on my headset that turns on the mic to where the 4 others with headsets on can hear this, for witnesses. I knew she was about to do the traditional Karen lies. It was set to only broadcast to other headsets, not to the speaker box outside. Me. I need you to pull up to serve the people behind you. K. I'm not pulling up. Me. Ma'am, we can't have you waiting here as we're busy and need to serve people while your order's still cooking. So if you could, please pull up and we'll bring... K. Screaming while cutting me off. Get your manager. So I went and got my manager like she screamed at me to do. I was already fed up with her and ready to pass her tub of lard-looking butt to my manager. GM. Yes, ma'am. K. Fake sobbing. Your employee was extremely rude. That tranny told me to pull up and wait. It even threatened to assault me right before I told it to get you. I'm out shopping for my babies and it threatens to assault me. I should sue that thing and the entire restaurant. GM. I can handle her once you pull up, ma'am. K. Screamed at the top of her lungs. Fine! She floors the gas pedal and flies off and stops with squealing tires at the white line to show where to pull up to. My GM asked me about it and I told her my side and the others with headsets agreed. I did nothing wrong as they heard it as well. Suddenly, the side door to the store flies open, and in comes Karen, screaming about having to wait and that it's against the law to pull her up since she's a mother. She knocks chairs over as she's screaming and throws the lemonade against the wall, hitting directly above the digital ad board, making it smoke and shut off with a loud pop. That's the point my GM was done with it and yelled for the man on the grill, a tall and muscular guy, to come and get her to leave at that point. Meanwhile, our inside register operator, who's 64 years old, is having a breakdown and sobbing around the corner of the wall that separates the front area and the drive-thru window, scared to death, while others are trying to calm her down. She made a huge mistake and came behind the counter. We have a policy where if an irate customer comes behind the counter, to hit the panic button on the wall and use force if needed to remove them from behind the counter, as it's deemed trespassing and she's not an employee. The guy on grill actually got a hold of her after she tried to hit him, and he picked her up and carried her outside as she hit him in the back with her fists like toddlers do, and locked the door after he came back in using the hidden emergency lock button underneath the push-style door handle that doesn't require the key if you use that button. She was screaming that he tried to rape her as she was carried outside while standing outside banging on the door. She was actually still banging on the door as the police flew in with lights and sirens. Since the panic button does an automatic recording to play to 911 as a robbery or hostage situation, not a Karen meltdown. They come up to her and subdued her with handcuffs and made her sit on the sidewalk as she told them her side of the story, and they knocked on the door. We tell them our side after we'd let them in. They told us that she said that we threatened her with the knife we used to cut lettuce, and that the guy that forced her out had molested her, and that she called me the fat W of a tranny at the window, personally threw the lemonade at her, and that my GM was laughing the whole time as the chaos was happening. She was quickly arrested after my GM said to press charges for the assault on the grill cook, the damage for the chairs, they're old so most of them broke, the advertisement board that plays a slideshow of the limited time items that uses a large computer screen was ruined as well because the lemonade. We showed the camera footage which caught everything because there's no blind spots on our cameras, and she was taken in handcuffs. We all were laughing about it the rest of the shift and making jokes like, don't piss this person off, might be another crazy soccer mom. And our last story. Karen tries to steal part of my yard. In 1996, my husband and I bought a brand new home in Georgia in a development called Fox Ridge. We'd only lived there for about 2 months, and my boys and I were out in the yard planting shrubs and flowers and ground cover. My property still had all the survey stakes and flags still up because we were going to build a fence and wanted to make sure we were within our property boundary. The property was an oddly shaped quarter-acre with 10-foot wide, 6-foot deep drainage swale separating us from our neighbors on the right. Unfortunately, that drainage ditch side required rocks to reinforce it to keep it from crumbling in heavy rains, so we had large round river rocks that weighed around a pound each at strategic places, such as corners to bolster it up. The worst spot was the front corner that faced the road. Every time it rained, the Georgia clay would crumble. The plan was to use some quick-set concrete to keep the rocks that were stacked from falling and to plant mossy plants between the rocks to pretty it up until we could afford to construct a better retaining wall. I'd gone in the house for drinks and snacks for me and my boys when my oldest son ran in to tell me some lady was stealing our yard. I go out and sure enough, there was Karen knocking down my wall and stealing my rocks. OP: Excuse me, what do you think you're doing? Karen: I'm taking these rocks for my garden. OP: No, you're not. Karen: Yes, I am. OP: You're on my property and those are my rocks, so you're trespassing and stealing. Karen: No, I'm not. The builder gave me permission to take these rocks. OP: Lady, this is my house. I bought it. The builder can't give you permission to come on my property and take rocks that I purchased. The rocks are holding up the corner of my property. Karen: It's not your property. Go mind your business. OP: Do you know what survey stakes are? I asked, walking towards her to see how much damage she was doing. Karen: I'm not stupid. Of course I do. Karen's getting really angry now and red-faced. OP: So if you know what property boundary markers look like, then you can plainly tell you're standing inside of mine and you're on my property. Drop the rock and return all the ones you just stole off my property. Don't make me call the cops. At this point, Karen tells me to F off. Then she tells me to back off and raises a rock in a threatening manner like she's going to hit me with it. I told her I was going to F up her day and start down the hill towards her. I yelled back to my oldest son to bring me the cordless phone so I could call the police. Karen then realized I wasn't playing and drops the rock she just picked up. I then asked, Do you even effing live in this development? Karen: I live here, and I'm going to tell my husband how you spoke to me. OP: Really? Karen: He's Tech Sergeant Mr. Karen. I know your husband's active duty too, so you'll be sorry. OP: Great. Now I know his name and plan to make a complaint that his wife came to my house, destroyed my property, tried to steal my property, and threatened me in front of my kids. Have a good day, you stupid cow. At that point, stupid cow / Karen gets in her minivan and drove off. She destroyed hours of work. When hubby got home, the boys told him how this screaming lady tried to steal our yard and mom called her a stupid cow and other bad words they weren't allowed to say. Hubby just gives me the look, so I explain what happened, and he knew her husband, so he got to go speak to him at work. That weekend, Mr. Sergeant Karen came over to help my husband replace the rocks Karen ripped out to keep the peace, and so not to have an incident filed at work. And no, Karen never darkened my door for the rest of the 7 years I lived in that house. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.